Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Beyond the Red Door podcast. I'm joined not by my lovely co-host today, but by the man behind the scenes. Our illustrious and amazing producer, editor, Sean
Oh
McGrath.
man,
Sean, how are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great. Had an interesting week so far at work, but we're making it through. Fall's here. Finally, colder weather. Not dying from heat. So you can see I got the window air conditioning in the room here. I finally don't have to use it, so my utility bill gets to go down. I'm doing
Uh,
amazing.
good. How have the temperatures been by you?
It's like 48 degrees right now in Milwaukee, so
Okay.
I'm living it up. I love fall. Not a big fan of summer. Hate spring. Love winter and fall though. Best seasons of the year. And also, I love winter and fall because I get to do a lot more. Get to remember all the great memories I had in SIGEP and get closer with brothers. As like a lot of the guys like get online a little bit more in the winter time. We get to play
Mhm.
games a lot more on Discord, and it's just cool to be around all of them too.
Yeah, it's about the same temperature up here, but like this week has just been like the hit of our like colds. Like the last couple of weeks, we've had like up and down kind of weather, and now we're finally getting into that fall weather. Leaves are turning. I went to the apple orchard last weekend. It was a good time.
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
yeah. So, but we got a big rundown of things that we want to talk about today. We got to address it real quick. Dom isn't feeling too well, so that's why he's not here. We think that maybe he got sick from 25 years, so it
It
happens. It
happens
happens,
being around
but
all these guys and being back in Platteville. The old Platteville plague does not leave any survivors. Despite him already surviving it in college, it's just gotta come back and bite him again.
yeah. But the show's got to go on. We're committed to doing this, we're still here, but yeah. So we're here to chat about 25 year. It was 2 weeks ago now to kind of date where we're at. And we're just gonna kind of recap everything that happened, talk a little bit about it, and kind of what the outlook for the chapter as a whole is going forward. So,
Yeah,
um,
I'm really happy to be here to talk about 25-year banquet. If you guys didn't know, I was the chairperson for 25-year banquet planning. So Chris mentioned this at Banquet itself, but we had actually been planning 25-year banquet since the start of 2024. So it was a total of 18 months total of planning for this banquet. And even a couple months before January of 2024, we were already working on creating ideas and formulating a plan for what does 25-year banquet look for Sigma Phi Epsilon, Wisconsin Theta. And to say the least, those 18 months really flew by. I can't believe that, like you said, 2 weeks ago we lived the best banquet that we've ever probably put on in
mhm.
as Wisconsin Theta, and all that planning that went into that banquet. I just got to shout out to all the guys who were on the committee, especially Chris Jurgis. Chris put a ton of work and effort into this banquet, and so did our whole committee. We met monthly for a long time, talking about like what apparel do we want to do, schedule timelines, talking about what does the program look like, what do we want to include, who do we need to bring into this, and what cameos and what important people from nationals to bring in. So it's a really quite an involved thing, and Chris Jurgis put a ton of work into it. I really can't thank him enough for his dedication for SIGAP and his dedication for the banquet. Really could not have done it without him and the rest of the committee. And yeah, can't wait to talk a lot about really what happened at 25-year banquet.
Mhm.
There's a ton of stuff to cover. We're not going to talk about all of it tonight, but we're just going to kind of get those the highlights I think of the weekend. That
Yeah. Yeah.
if you didn't make it, there'll be a lot more posts coming up in the future about recaps from 25-year banquet. This is going to be this episode is going to be a really great opportunity for you to really hear about the awesome things that happened that really broke the die from what we used to do for like regular banquets. This is like
Mhm.
um, our high water mark, really. I think you could call it. We
Yeah, I want to reemphasize that because again, like for the people that weren't there, it was an incredible experience. Like Sean, I don't know if like from the early like conceptualizations on the committee of like what this plan was, like did you see it getting to this point? Like talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So like talking about like the initial concepts of it in my head was like we were gonna do like a couple different things, like more so focusing on programming of
Hmm.
different events to happen during the weekend. So in 2024, we had like our regular spring banquet and everything, and that was like a good opportunity for us to understand like what is this gonna look like in the fall of 2025. We introduced whiskey tasting back then. I planned that event for the first time ever, and it ended up being really popular for that. And it was like, okay, well, now we need to figure out how we're going to add other programming in. So the initial thought was we're just going to add a bunch more programming in. The banquet itself is going to be relatively the same. You know, we're going to have a couple new things with like the housing campaign, but I think like in the last like couple months here, the understanding of like we did a ton of this video recording for like the little segments that were shown up
Hmm.
on the screens. Um, we had planned out for Steve Hofstetter to be there, but like having the Nationals folks come out and speak as well, um, all of, like the lights and everything, like that really wasn't realized by myself until we really got into the last final stretch of it. But the programming stuff was like from the get go, we were going to do programming. We wanted to make it a whole weekend. We didn't want it just to be hey, I'm showing up to Platteville Friday night to show up to go to Burning Heart. I'm going to do
Hmm.
nothing all day Saturday. Gonna go to the banquet itself, and that's it. My weekend's over. Pretty cut and dry. We wanted it to be like a conclave experience, but in the span of 2 to 3 days in Platteville. And another thing that we had was in the initial parts of the committee was like, where are we going to do this? And I think from my perspective, Platteville is always a no-brainer.
Hmm.
It was more so of a question if Platteville could handle an event this size, and I think we really proved that it could, and it
Yeah.
it can and time again. So that was like a lot of our initial work.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we dive into like the list of events, I want to give one more shout out to the undergrads, the whole weekend. Like you obviously gave a shout out to all the people that helped plan this banquet. I think the undergrads kind of went a little unnoticed in terms of the amount of stuff. Not only with some of the planning, because it was important to get their feedback, but they put in so much work on the weekends, kind of helping get stuff set up. With Burning Heart, obviously they had to set up all of that and take it down the next day.
Yep.
And they had just come off of a rough week of like homecoming events as well. So talking with those guys, like it sounded like there was we were hitting that point where there was some exhaustion kind of setting in from just the amount of stuff that they were doing. But they absolutely killed it with not only their turnout but the amount of work that they put in
Yeah.
to make the
I
weekend just
totally
run as
agree with
smooth as it
that.
could. Yeah.
They really did come out, and I'm glad you mentioned that. I can't believe I forgot about the undergraduates. Like I'm so focused on the alumni side. The undergraduates, like you said, they really pulled their weight on this event. The Burning Heart certainly was a tall glass to fill, especially with where the chapter is right now with seniors and juniors, where they haven't seen a Burning Heart since 2024, and since they didn't do a spring banquet 2025 this year, there was some of that knowledge was lost, so they had to reconnect with some like recent alumni. How do we
Mhm.
do a Burning Heart again, and how do we incorporate these elements of making Burning Heart more special this year for 25-year banquet? And like you said, the manpower showing up, especially right after homecoming. They've had a long semester so far. It's only the middle of October, but they've just got out like the week before homecoming. They just finished up their recruitment season, jump into homecoming. Homecoming is definitely a rough week. I used to chair homecoming for us, and oh my gosh, the sleepless nights, the stress of running that all throughout that entire week is definitely tough. And then
Mm.
they're still doing BMS. Now they haven't done their BMS banquet yet, so that's got to fall in here somewhere. That's going to be happening in November. They got chapter elections coming up, so fall 2025 has definitely not been an easy semester for those guys.
Yeah, it's been crazy for them. So yeah, just again, just shout out to them. They killed it. I got to talk to a lot of undergrads this weekend as well, and it was cool to connect with some of the new guys that like just recently joined. But then some guys that maybe have been around that I haven't been able to connect with yet, and I can't remember everybody's names because I'm just bad like that. But it was just cool to kind of see all those people. But alrighty, I think we've talked enough about all the prep stuff. Let's dive into the actual weekend of events. So obviously, like you said, like Friday night was the beginning. We started off with a Burning Heart. It was a very special Burning Heart, like you said. Like we hadn't done one in a while, so this was kind of the first one that obviously a lot of those freshmen got to see, but even ones from like freshmen from like that last class. This was their first one that they were seeing as well,
Yep.
like that sophomore class. So it was just a big occasion. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it there yet. Like I was still on my drive down. I got into Platteville like I forgot what it was, like 10:30
Oh my
or
gosh,
11
that's a
o'clock.
freaking late day, man.
Yeah. I had to work that day, so then I was coming in after work, but
Sure.
so I kind of missed out on it. But obviously, I got to see the pictures and talk with people about it the next day. But you were there, so kind of talk
Yeah.
a little bit about that, like
Yeah, it was first of all like the setup for 25-year banquet, or just like sorry, not 25-year banquet. The Burning Heart itself was like being able to do this in fall. I can't tell you how much it means to be able to do this in fall. For my entire undergraduate career, Burning Heart's always been with rain and wind and this terrible spring weather.
yeah.
And this time we got like really like it was a cloudless night. So first of all, like absolutely beautiful. You could see all the stars. And then doing the Burning Heart itself, I think I've never seen this many people show up for Burning Heart. So that was really cool to see how many people showed up. There were a bunch of people from campus. The Nationals folks were there, so like the Grand Chapter President and some district governors were there. So that was really cool. And then the Loris guys, I think, came too. So really cool to see all these people to come to see our Burning Heart. But then like the Burning Heart itself, if you guys see the pictures, basically we did a regular Burning Heart, but inside of the Burning Heart itself, we actually put 25 to stand like for our 25-year celebration. And at the end of the entire Burning Heart ceremony itself, there was a large fireworks display, just like the fireworks display that they do for the Burning M that they do for homecoming, which was done the week before that.
hmm
So really awesome to see that. The pictures are amazing. I can't wait to share some of the pictures. Hopefully, when I go to edit this in the future here, I'll put some of the pictures that myself and Zach Donnelly took. I think there's also maybe some drone footage that Chris Jurgis did. So
yeah.
really cool stuff to see. Amazing Burning Heart. And then I know you missed this as well, but right after Burning Heart, we actually did whiskey tasting for the second year in a row. And this year, if you guys have ever been to the Speakeasy 50/50 in Platteville, Wisconsin, the Speakeasy actually used to be just like this like attic at
hmm
this barber
it was
shop
so
called
tiny.
the College Barber. Yeah.
yeah.
And now the entire Speakeasy actually occupies the entire building. So the barber shop that used to be in the downstairs, I think they moved it to Dubuque, and I think they just have the other barber shop downtown. But the entire bar occupies both upstairs and downstairs, and we had a combined whiskey tasting and wine tasting. So we took like we said, hey, if you guys want to participate in this, buy tickets. Feel free to bring your significant others or your partners to basically enjoy drinks together, and it was a great way for people to socialize. What we had
Yeah.
done for whiskey tasting is whiskey tasting was upstairs, and wine tasting flights were downstairs. So, say if us guys we got whiskey tasting tickets and our wives got wine tasting, it was a great way for us to socialize with first of all our brothers, but also our brothers' partners and whatnot, and being able to socialize and kind of force people to be friendly with each other and get to catch up. And
How many
and
people did you guys
also
have
most
at it?
importantly, what's that?
How many people did you guys have that attended? It seemed like
I
it was a pretty
believe
good
it
turnout from
was
what I heard.
over 50 people purchased
Wow.
tickets.
That's pretty good.
And there was a number of people who participated or who showed up and just enjoyed the ambiance,
hmm
enjoyed sharing drinks with one another. It was an amazing time. The Speakeasy 50/50 staff were like so accommodating for this, like especially for doing this the second year in a row. I think both times that we've done this event with them, we've actually broken the record for how many people that they have ever had inside the establishment or done like a group event. So like
Uh,
when we did it in 2024, it was like, wow, I didn't expect to have 25 people here. And then this year it was like 60 to 70 people, which is just like insane to think that we had that many people just going there, hanging out. It's like a actual formalized function for Friday night. Sometimes like Friday nights before banquet, people are trickling in. Not a lot of people are showing up. This is a great opportunity for us to really connect with our brothers and get to catch up before the festivities that happen on Saturday.
yeah. I was just looking in we had the Google Drive with all the photos too that people were sending in, and there's a ton of Burning Heart ones in there too. So like you might have
Oh, I gotta
your
make sure
pick
up.
of
I
good
gotta upload
photos.
mine still. I got like two SD cards here that I've just
Uh
got like chock full of pictures that I've been like meaning to upload all this stuff. Like all these SD cards. It's like 256 gigabytes
Sheesh.
of data. Not all of it's SIGEP stuff, but like
uh
it's a ton of stuff that I need to upload still, and I've been like really bad at getting at it. I got like old like archives from like when I was VP comms that I need to
uh
upload too, but it'll be good. It's a lot of good pictures, and I'll go pick through the pictures, and I'll definitely overlay some stuff during the episode, which would be awesome.
Yeah. I feel like every time I try to take pictures of Burning Heart, it never turns out well. But some of the photos in here are
Don't
really
blame
good. So
Platteville for that, man.
yeah.
So like for 4 years in a row, every time I was like an undergraduate and I was trying to take pictures of Burning Heart, the wind and
Mhm.
the ice and the rain always screwed up my pictures. And this time it was like, there's a little bit of a breeze, but I got actual good pictures this time, which is like super exciting.
Yeah. Some of these are awesome in here. So yeah, we'll make sure that they're showing up somewhere in here, right? Um,
Yeah, and it we'll also include in the description of the video, we can include the Google Drive, and
yeah,
so you can
yeah,
look at the pictures if you want to sort them yourself.
yeah. So yeah, that was Friday night going into Saturday. It like Sean said, it was chock full of events. The actual banquet was at night. Like we I guess we technically started at like 5 or 4 o'clock was the social hour, but leading up to the event, we had a bunch of stuff going on in the morning. Like we had like some campus tours going on at 9 o'clock, I believe. And to be honest, the turnout for that was pretty good. Like going into the second event, like we didn't have enough time to kind of go to those campus tours, but from what I was told, like we had a good like 25 to 30 guys that attended that, and were just kind of hadn't been back to Platteville in probably 10 plus years, and so they got to see all the new engineering building, and some of the like updates to some of the other buildings. So that was a really cool experience that we were able to put on. But the big thing that we got to take part in was this founding fathers roundtable, which was just a really awesome experience. But the previous podcast before this one that's coming out, we had talked about the plan was to upload that and have it for for the episode that followed 25 year. Unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties, and as we were like recording it, essentially like it didn't capture any audio, so we just have video of this whole like roundtable that we did, this hour long roundtable. So that sucks. We had tested all this stuff beforehand, and it was working. It captured the audio. We don't know what happens in the like 2 minutes in between us restarting the capture that it got messed up. But I will say Dom and I are like kind of planning on trying to host another one virtually with a bunch more of the founders. So hopefully we'll be able to kind of set that up and still provide that experience to those that weren't able to be there. But like I said, in its entirety, it was an awesome event. I have to give a shout out to Ryan Vickerman, Derek Dashley, and Ben Zier, who are founding fathers that agreed to be on the panel for the weekend.
I
Um,
actually sat with Ryan Bickerman at Banquet itself, and he said a lot of great things. He said he had an amazing time at the founders discussion. He said that it was like, he got to relive stories that these guys lived through the founding of our chapter, and being able to. There were some really
mhm.
good questions he said that were asked, and he really appreciated the opportunity.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, when we were trying to figure out who we wanted to be on this, like, Chris was kind of giving a lot of suggestions once we kind of had, the final list of everybody. But for those guys that I don't know I would assume they probably haven't been on a podcast before or done something like that. They brought a lot of energy to it, which helped. And we had an awesome crowd there. Like we had probably a solid like 30 people,
Wow.
mix of alumni and undergrads. It might be more than that. I might be underselling it a little bit, but we had a lot of people there. So like shout out to everybody that came out in person. Like I said, even though the audio and stuff kind of got messed up, it kind of showed Dom and I that we've talked about doing something in person like this before, and this was our test run for it. And now that we've kind of seen what little hiccups we've run into when we're kind of doing stuff like this, um, it's kind of helped us realize that, this is a lot more achievable than we had previously thought. And so, like, already going forward, we've talked about when we go back for, say, homecoming or another spring banquet, like we're gonna try to set some more of these up to kind of do some in-person things again. So I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, like I said, it was an awesome time. The guys that were on the panel brought a lot of energy and a lot of good stories. I think some of the standout ones, since you weren't there, Sean, like Derek was telling us about how I think it was the second house that they lived, like the second official like cigarette house they lived in. There was
At
like a
Pine Street?
ghost. Was it the Pine Street one? I can't
Well, there
remember
were two Pine
the
Street houses.
address.
There was the brick Pine Street house, and then there was
Hmm.
the white Pine Street house.
I think it's the brick one that they were talking about. I can't
That
remember. They
I
said
think
they said the
I think
address a
that
couple of
checks out.
times.
I think I've
Yeah,
heard chats
there
about
was.
that story before.
We were talking about ghosts, and it got very real. Like everyone was like the Vickerman and Dashley were like, yeah, there's been multiple people that said like that have confirmed the story. There's people that are non-SIGEPs that have confirmed like seeing
Oh my
stuff.
gosh.
Uh, and and so we went on a little rant about all of that, which was really funny. But
We got to get
um,
the Phi Sigmas who currently own or who currently I think rent the house or own the house. We got to get
uh,
them to corroborate this.
yeah, I
Can't
mean, I
just
would
be
assume
us.
that it's still haunted. Yeah, like but like I said, it was just really cool to kind of see, like you could definitely see like the passion and like how they were kind of reliving some of these stories too. Like they were talking about, I think one of the questions I was asked like was like, what was the most unique event that you guys threw, or like um something along those lines. And they talked about the root beer kegger that they threw, which like I'm sure people have heard about before, but essentially they just threw a big party where they just served root beer. Um, and like talking about that story and like the party that happened in the house with it, like was crazy. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on it because again, I'm hoping that we can get them all back on to talk about some of this stuff again and have a actual recording of it this time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a really great time, and like I said, I got to shout out the three guys that were on the panel and all the people that were able to show up and kind of provide that energy that helped us make it as good as it was. Um, so after that was we had the national board of directors, gentlemen. So oh gosh, I'm blanking on names now. So
Scott
Scott
Carr, I think.
Scott Carr and David Calderon were there. David Calderon is our current Grand Chapter president. Scott Carr is again on the national board of directors, and he's also an Order of the Golden Heart recipient. And so they were there to kind of answer some questions about the state of the fraternity, the national fraternity as a whole, and just like again, just kind of the direction that the chapter is going, or that the fraternity is going, and talking about their like plans essentially.
What
Um,
was your biggest takeaway from that? Like, I guess like, give me the Spark Notes version. Like, what is the most important thing that you think you got out of that particular roundtable?
um, I think one of the big things that stood out to me is like, we always talk about, how SIGEP is like nationwide in terms of like how many chapters we have open. And something that David or that they had mentioned like on the weekend was that, we've actually been closing a lot of chapters like recently, like especially like he even said like, obviously the semester just started, but like they had already closed like 5 chapters
Yeah, I think I remember him
before
saying that. And there's like only
before
like
this.
198 SIGEP chapters open right now.
Yeah, and but as bad as that sounds, like not the spin, I shouldn't say that, like what they were basically trying to emphasize was that we are cutting out these people that aren't showing our cardinal principles and aren't showing our values of being a SIGEP, and making it so that we, instead of just having a bunch of chapters that use that SIGEP title, we're having chapters that are actually embodying like our values and our principles. Um, and I like I said, I thought that kind of stood out to me personally, just because, like I said, like we've had a couple of discussions and rants on here about SIG up chapters closing before. Like Dom and I had one, I think not earlier this year. I can't remember. We've done too many. Or
I can't
you
remember
know,
either. I definitely remember there's probably
yeah.
some conversation we had about the state of the fraternity and how how chapters are definitely not like, we're not doing amazing in terms of some of the
Yeah,
stuff.
and just being that like we're one of these standout chapters now, and we're setting the example for everything else that's going on. Like anytime that any of those chapters are doing stupid things, like obviously it's putting a bad name on not only our SIGEP name, but just Greek life in general. And with
Yeah,
college admittance going down and Greek life numbers just going down across the board, like I think that kind of decision making and being so strategic, like they talked a lot about how like basically how the processes of how they choose new chapters to kind of start as well, and just the strategy behind that and how they're kind of determining like which of these chapters they think can kind of represent SIGEP on that university. It just was just so interesting to me. So that I would say that was my biggest takeaway. What about you?
I wasn't there.
Oh, you weren't there for that one? I couldn't remember
No,
it was all there.
we ended up getting later. We ended up getting up later that day, but we made sure to attend the ritual demonstration afterwards. This is like really
Gotcha.
nice too.
And I don't think Chris recorded a video of that, so we probably don't have that anywhere. But
Oh,
either way, like
the founder, or not the founders, that the
the
national board of
national
directors
board
and
ones,
people.
yeah, I don't think we recorded that one. But like I said, it just was a good opportunity to kind of just to hear about that, and that had a good turnout as well. Like I would say that it was more, if I recall, I think it was a little more like undergrad heavy, because there's some undergrads that like have worked with both of those men,
Sure.
like at Ruck. Like I think Ty was one of them that was there, so like they
Yeah,
know
one
them
of
and want to see
I think
them.
it was Scott Carr, or maybe I can't remember which one, but they were like, yeah, it was really cool. I got to see two of the guys who I mentored at Ruck, which is like, oh my gosh, it's like cool to find, like, to have your Ruck mentor come to your home chapter and get to see who your brothers are and what we are as SIGEP Wisconsin Theta. And I think just in general too, having the grand chapter president be able to make it out for this event, I think that really was special.
It's
I remember
insane.
being an undergraduate and being able to interact with Grand Chapter President Brad Narstead.
Hmm.
That was like every time we talked with Brad or we interacted with Brad, it was like I felt, and this sounds like corny, but like I felt like we were like the most important chapter ever. Like the way the Grand Chapter presidents like give us attention and they talk to us and they relate with us. These guys aren't in their position because they just show up. These guys are guys who live and breathe SIGEP and who care about
Hmm.
the guys who are currently going to school and living and going through their SIGEP journey.
Yeah.
Having them be here was beyond spectacular. I didn't even notice or know who they were when they showed up. So like when I ran the whiskey tasting event, they David and Scott just showed up, and I was like, "Oh, you guys are here for the whiskey tasting?" They're like, "Oh yeah, we're the last two people that got added," and me not having any clue, just like, "Oh yeah, well welcome. Go, you guys can go upstairs." Not even realizing that this is like two guys from California. First of all, our grand chapter president and a guy from the national board of directors just walked in the front door at the Speakeasy 50/50. Like I think that was just like looking back at him, like, oh my gosh, how'd you fail to realize this? It was just really cool.
Yeah, it's really just an awesome thing. I mean, I had a chance to work with David when I went to Conclave back as an undergrad. Like, he was one of the facilitators for some of the stuff that I had been a part of, as well as like the like, can I think of what it's actually called? Like our delegation, that when we were
Oh
discussing
yeah,
like policy and stuff. So like I got to meet him and I got to meet Brad Narstead as well, and just kind of hear from them and learn from them. So to kind of see him now, like almost, I mean, not 10 years, but like 7 6 7 years, like after that, like time that I had met them originally, like it just was it was really cool. And we've had national people come and come back to Platteville before, but not to like this level of national people.
yeah,
So to have them come out and see this, and they emphasized it too, like just how special it was to like finally get to our chapter. Like obviously been winning awards, winning Buck Cups, and like so our name has been out there. We've been piloting a lot of stuff, but again, like to come out to Wisconsin is pretty hard sometimes. We're not near any of these big
Like
cities.
they said, we are in the middle of nowhere. It's just
Yeah,
like this tiny chapter. I mean, no, we're not tiny, but like this chapter's in the middle of nowhere in Wisconsin. Now the closest big airport is Madison, which is an hour away. And it's just like you said, so incredibly spectacular to have these nationals guys be able to make it out to our chapter.
yeah, and like I said, just like to finally see like what Platteville is like and what you know what we're about, the
Yeah,
environment that builds our men. So, yeah, it was just really awesome. It was I always like listening to these guys talk. So, it was just a really good opportunity. Um, but yeah, so I mean that was the morning stuff that we did, and then there was a little break for lunch and everything else that kind of happened, and then we went into the afternoon where we had a ritual demonstration. I'm trying to think what that was the only thing that happened in the
yeah, it was just
afternoon
the ritual
before.
demonstration, and then from ritual demonstration we went to like a cocktail hour where we got to like look at all the awards and composites. Like we had every composite out that the entire in the entire chapter's history, every composite was displayed inside the I think it's the Nora in
Yeah,
the
the
Nora
art gallery.
gallery, and in the
Yeah.
Nora gallery we had every composite except for the most recent composite as well as the founders composite. So those two were put upstairs inside of Velzy Commons,
Hmm.
and we also had all of our awards displayed on a table adjacent to the founding and the existing composites as well. So we had like our three Buchanan cups. We had a ton of like our Excelsior stuff, stuff for like our member development, alumni. We had a couple like signed boards of like brothers. So like if you remember, I think you remember when you were in the chapter, like there was like a giant like Wisconsin Theta like plank that was like
Hmm.
engraved or painted or whatever brothers that signed that. There's I wouldn't say identical, but one that I had made when I was an undergraduate that also has signatures on it. And just like awards from homecoming. It's like it was basically the trophy cabinet. Like
Hmm.
that's a good way to say it. And then like the marquee letters and everything. And people got to go walk around, take pictures, celebrate the achievements that we had before we went into the actual banquet part.
Yeah, I gotta emphasize like the ambiance of like what the actual that afternoon, like in terms of the social hour going into the banquet and dinner, like it felt like we were walking like the red carpet. Like we
Oh
had
yeah.
it all set up upstairs. You're talking to the undergrads that were running like the registration, and you're getting like your name tags with all like your stuff that you're involved in, like if you were an alumni, if you're an undergrad, if you've
Yeah,
won
like
any
the giant ribbon
awards.
racks that people had.
Yeah. So like you put that on, and then you walk in the like set of doors, and you've got the big 25-year letters there. And then you're
The
like,
like the steel cage above it with the giant 25-year banquet like logo like
yeah.
what is it, illuminated on the ground. Yeah.
And then you've got like you walk by all those awards that Sean just talked about, and then you got like the photo wall basically. Like we got a professional photographer there. She's all set up, and then you've got I don't even know how to describe it. Just the background, right? Like the 25-year
Yeah,
background where you can take photos in front of.
like with the
Um,
25-year banquet logo and the SIGEP logo. It's like yeah, it's just like a photo backdrop.
yeah. And so like it just felt like like I said, it felt like you were on the red carpet. Like you're walking through that part, getting your photos taken, and then you're going downstairs and having drinks with everybody before this banquet actually kicked off. But
And
um,
silent auction was there too.
yeah,
Can't forget
yeah,
about that. And I think this year it was a little different too with the silent auction and the silent auction was still going for the scholarship, right? But all the merchandise that was sold is going to I can't remember the endowment. I can't remember
I
which one was
believe
which.
so. I don't know all the specifics either, to be honest. But like I do know that we had like the BMS trophy, like naming rights were still up for auction, and we made there's some good money that was raised there. And then I do know like a certain percentage of it is still going to BMS through the endowment, I believe.
I can't remember
Um,
all those details. It was
neither can
very
I.
much overshadowed by the entire rest of the banquet, which was
Yeah.
honestly, like just like I guess what can like start to transition into this, like the actual banquet itself. Um, we talked a little bit about this before the podcast started. Was like the original vision for the banquet was like a lot smaller. So like think about like a regular spring banquet. Um, this was like that, but like on steroids times 10. Like this is like a conclave level presentation. So they had video that was all like edited and prepared, intro music, intro videos for people, like introducing them. We had Ian Seidler and was it
Michael Brunner,
Dewey?
yeah, Dewey, Michael Brunner,
Dewey, Michael Brunner,
MCs.
as our MCs for the event. We had like all these different lights. Like the entire room was dark the entire night, or like the
Hmm.
entire banquet portion. It was like dark. They had like the red and purple letter or red and purple lighting all along the entire like length of the room, all the tables and everything. And the tables had these just amazing like centerpieces too. They're like columns with flowers
Yeah.
on them. So completely different from what you normally would see at a regular SIGEP banquet. It was everything, like every detail was uh, paid attention to make it really feel like this is a once in a lifetime experience, and this is a very important event. This isn't just another slouch spring banquet. Which, by the way, I'm not trying to shit on the spring banquets, but like this really blew it out of the water, and I think this is like
Mm,
what people are going to remember the most is the content, not only the content, because we don't want people just to remember the content, but we want to remember people to remember um, the event itself, all the stuff that went into it.
yeah.
And if people who were there, like the big thing is like I can really highlight is like there's a bunch of cameos from like I think Jurgis had gotten his hands on a cameo account, is that right? And he had like these celebrities like from like the Packers, the
It's some
Patriots, the
Bears
Bears.
players,
I
bunch of
know they had like,
comedians.
yep, Charlie Burns was on there. There's like this one guy who rapped about us. And they were basically just like wishing us a happy 25-year banquet on top of like um there's like chunks of during the banquet celebration program itself where we had done interviews of a bunch of our founders, undergraduates at the time, recent alumni, really notable people who are on the AVC, and talking about like what does Wisconsin Theta mean to you? What does SIGEP mean to you? And talking about like real topics, talking about the experiences that they've had, and those were all subset in throughout the entire program, and really kind of just highlighted um, the entirety of us, the entirety of our chapter, and the brothers that make it. Really,
Mhm. And I think this is a point to give another special shout out to Chris because like the amount of work he put in to like make this program um as good as it was is like I don't even know how many hours he had to put into it. I mean, obviously
and
just
Zach Downley,
between
by the way,
and
Zach
Zach
Downley did a
Downley.
ton of editing.
Yeah, like I said, like the program in itself was about I think about 4 hours. It was pretty long. But just from getting all these videos, like Chris was running all over Wisconsin and all over wherever else he needed to go, like the across the states, basically, to go interview these people to kind of get the these little clips and these montages that he was able to put together, and then on top of that, again, like talking between like Chris and Donnelly, like the amount of editing that they were doing to make sure everything worked. I know Chris had like this professional like uh program that he was using to like line up all the
Pro
music,
presenter,
making sure all
man.
the
That's pro
lights.
presenter.
Yeah, like it just was crazy. Like and like Chris was basically behind the scenes, like running all this while everybody else was being front and center. And so I just saw him like his table where he
And
was
Chris
at was
did
like kind of
direct it.
yeah, he basically was directing the whole thing, and to do all that and on top of like the amount of planning they put into it too is just like it's just so much. So
A
um
lot of a lot had to happen. I know they did like a dress rehearsal Friday night.
mm,
Was it Friday night?
I think they did on Saturday actually. It was like in the
Oh, it was
afternoon during that
Saturday,
little
I
break.
think. It was like before Burning Heart, they had a little dress rehearsal, and then Saturday afternoon they did another dress rehearsal, just
Hmm.
making sure that everything was ready to go. So
Yeah.
there's a ton of stuff that happened in the background. Like this isn't just like a hey, we showed up and we're gonna do this. This is a lot of work that went
Yeah.
into it,
And
and
I think it's important too to
it paid
like
off, I think.
yeah, and I think it's important too to like just shout out like David Calderon and like Steve Hofstetter even said like during both of the like, well, David gave a keynote speech and then Steve obviously did his
It's
skits,
comedy stand up, yeah.
his stand up. But like they both emphasized just like how professional and like how crazy the just everything that they had seen on the weekend was like. They had said like, Steve was like, I've been keynotes at different BMS banquets and like gone to all these other stick up chapters, and like just seeing this was like insane, like to him. Like he was like that this he talked about his home chapter, I believe, right? Like at I can't
Yeah,
remember
Steve
what university
Hofstadter
he's from.
talked about his home chapter, I believe, and how like um they didn't do anything nearly this important for like his 25-year banquet. So he was
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, I'm a little jealous that Wisconsin Theta went through all this effort. You know, one of the smaller chapters in the country went through all this effort to make their 25-year celebration unlike none other. Like this was, I really emphasize this like heavily. Like this was like a conclave level or even better kind of performance that went on, or program. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. Like the
Hmm.
program
Hmm.
was like really, really paid attention to, and it was that like you said, it's 4 hours. Like I don't think I was bored for a single part of that entire 4 hours.
It flew by. It really flew by, honestly.
Yeah,
Like it didn't feel like it took that whole 4 hours, um but yeah, and I forgot, I'm looking at our rundown here and we had some other stuff we want to talk about too before we actually got into the banquet. But like the amount of people that we had in attendance just for this banquet portion
hype.
was like crazy. Like the numbers we have here, we had 256 people total, so that includes undergrads, alumni, and family and significant others and all that. We had 14 of our founding fathers there. We had 86 alumni and one Renaissance brother, which like I know Chris, like he had calculated out some like numbers originally, just what we kind of needed to hit to like meet our budget basically.
Yeah, break
And the
even.
fact
That
that
is breaking
yeah,
even. We
yeah,
did all the math. Like, this is how many we need. This is how many packages we need to sell, and
yeah,
we ended up blowing the alumni number like unbelievably out of the water.
yeah.
Like
Like I think the number that we had
crazy.
estimated was like 50 people, and to be at 86, we had 125 like total brothers there, so like the 86 plus all as many of the undergrads that showed up, which like Chris has his little number here is 42% of all active brothers, which just is mind boggling.
I think that's like just. I think that really just goes to show like how well this is like advertised as well. Like, shout out to you and like the I wouldn't say, I guess, advertising and the hyping up of the event and like getting people interested and getting people to come back for the
Mhm.
celebration was like that was also a really key part to this. If you're going to hold an event like this and you're going to put all this time into it, making sure people are going to show up is hugely affects that a huge amount.
Yeah. And it was just great to see like there's some alumni that, I've interacted with before and may have graduated and kind of done some stuff with the AVC or stepped away or didn't even like get involved with the AVC at all, that so it's like guys that maybe have been distanced from the chapter for a little bit that came back, and it was awesome to just see everybody there. Even again, some of the founders, like have taken some steps back to do what they need to do in their personal lives, and the fact that we had 14 people come back, like 14 founders come back to help celebrate this, was just phenomenal. So like you said, like shout out to everybody that was able to show up and be a part of this banquet. Um, the speeches were all very well written. Who all gave speeches? So we had like Ryan
Yeah,
Bergman, our
Ryan
undergrad,
Bergman, Tom Barton, Jeremy Baker, at least not Bob,
David Calderon gave a
David
speech.
Calderon, Scott Carr gave a speech. Um,
I think that was everybody, and then Chris gave a little speech at the end.
yep, Chris gave a little speech, and then who's the guy who runs awards? I can't remember his name. It's
Matt
blanking.
Sides.
Matt Sides.
Matt's
Matt
fight.
Sides gave a little speech as well.
Yeah.
There's so many people I forget names sometimes. And so like there's a ton of people who end up speaking. You cannot forget about the housing committee as well. They unveiled the plans for the new house, and Nick Korberg and Jason Bednarski, I
Yep.
believe,
Yep.
they came out on stage and they really highlighted the plan. They went and they highlighted and talked us through the entire plans for the new chapter facility that they're hoping to break ground on in 2020. 2030. Geez, not
Hmm.
20, not 2020, 2030.
2030. I think it's important to highlight this part. Obviously we've been running this little capital campaign in the background, just getting some initial donors, people that are interested in investing in this property. And this was the first time that we were showing off like what this build is actually going to look like. We've obviously been working with architects and getting some people to come in and kind of survey what we're going to be starting here. And so this is again the first time we're showing these like conceptual designs of what everything's going to look like, and kind of reveal how much like capital we've already raised for this project. And so like you said, like having Nick and Jason like kind of walk us through the property. I mean, we can go through some of the highlights of it right now. Like, I mean, it's going to be huge. I don't
Yeah,
know the actual
I
like
can't
square
remember the square
footage of it.
footage, but basically, like brief overview, the facility is planned to be a three-story building. They're going to have a basement that is going to be unfinished for when the house is completed initially, but has the option to be completed into a complete chapter space, which is going to be like space for chapter meetings, ritual, being able to do that all in the house.
Mm-hmm.
But like the first floor is going to be a ton of common space. There will be an ADA accessible bedroom that can also be space for like an RD or a resident scholar. They'll have basically a ton of like space for like social gatherings and spending time in the chapter
Mm-hmm.
facility. I believe
And a
um,
bunch of
they
SLC space as
they
well.
did name I think it's the Tom Barton SLC. There'll
Mm-hmm.
be a huge like I can't believe the size of this SLC. Like I wish I could be an undergraduate and get to use this SLC when it's done. There's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be a ton of space for brothers to do stuff academically. And then like talking about the second story of the facility with a space for brothers to be residents in. They have, I believe, 4 bedrooms on each side of the building, so
I think it's
total of
four.
8 bedrooms.
Yeah, and two of them are doubles, so it's
Yep,
like
2 of them are doubles, so they have the
four.
opportunity for guys who want a cheaper experience to, I guess I say cheaper, more affordable experience
Mm-hmm.
to have a double. And then there's 2 kitchens actually in the center of the building where they can actually block off the center so they can break it into 2 units
Mm-hmm.
and have a little bit more like personal or like quiet time if they need to, or like have 2 separate events going simultaneously. They can do that with the doors and then the kitchen and then the bathroom facilities. Like it's a very well-rounded facility. Like I'm
Yeah.
super impressed by the work that was done by the architect. I know, like I remember being at the ABC meetings when we talked about like picking the architect, and I don't think we could have gotten the level or the quality of these plans from any of the other architects that we looked at, and it definitely shows that they did their homework. They've done Greek facilities before,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to see this, like this is really exciting for me, especially. I remember being an undergraduate when we were moving out of the 440 Pine Street house and like talking about like what is our future for chapter facility? Are we going to be renovating an older house in Platteville, or are we going to get our own facility? And I remember when those conversations started, and I remember, I'm still really excited about this. I cannot wait for undergraduates to be able to live in this facility and be able to get to spend time as brothers in a space that's actually like well suited for it. I remember like Christmases at the chapter house are so cramped. Trying to fit a 50 guy chapter into a tiny little living room is
Mm-hmm.
it isn't great, but we made do. But these guys are going to have an awesome experience when this house gets built.
Yeah.
And I think we should quick talk about like the amount of work that's or the amount of like fundraising that happened during the event too, because I think this was like one of my highlights is the generosity that was shown by a lot of brothers. So another little thing too, Tom Barton actually did a ton of speaking during the fundraising portion. So you Nick and Jason talked about the facility itself, but then we had a ton of the trustees, or sorry, stakeholders, quick talk about why they are choosing to donate or to be a stakeholder in this project. And
Mm-hmm.
Tom Barton ended up, he talked about like how he's gonna be re-upping his donation for the facility. Chris talked about his, and it ended up being like a whole thing where everybody kind of came together. And if you want to talk, Austin, I'll talk a little bit about
Yeah.
the numbers side of it. I think this is some really cool stuff.
It really is. And so like obviously both of us are. Were you a stakeholder before this
I
weekend?
was not. So
Okay,
when they started the capital campaign, I was still an undergraduate, so I've been
oh
kind of
yeah,
holding off. But I
gotcha.
thought now this is a great time for me to get in on it. I'm getting on. I'm gonna get a brick. I'm pretty excited to get a brick.
Yeah. So I've been a stakeholder since the beginning of it, and I've helped to recruit some people to be stakeholders as well. But um, I don't know the exact like monetary amount that we had raised before the weekend, but I want to say it was somewhere around like 300,000 like
Yeah, it was about
committed.
half. If I remember, it was like about halfway. We were
Yeah.
halfway to our goal, which by the way is still a monumental feat to begin
Yeah.
with. Like
We needed
big
five.
picture. Yeah, big
Sorry, I was gonna
picture.
say
Like we
we
need.
needed
I think it was like 1.5.
500,000. 500,000
Yeah, we got like a
to.
$600,000 mortgage from um was it the SIGEP housing fund, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So like we need to somehow come up with $600,000. The campaign's been going on since I believe 2022. Is that right?
Yeah,
2022,
sometime around
2021.
then. Yeah, 2022 sounds right. I
Yeah,
don't.
so
I can't
this
remember.
campaign's been going on for a while. I remember Jurgis talking about this at the 2023 banquet about I think we had like raised over $200,000 in 2023 at that point.
Hmm.
Of like I guess raised, I should say like the people
Committed,
had committed
committed.
to that
Yeah,
much money, and we were at sitting at $300,000 committed coming into banquet, uh, and that was like super exciting still, I think.
yeah. So like we were at that halfway point, right, to breaking ground, and over this weekend alone, we raised. I have the number here: $352,250 that was committed this weekend. So
Wow.
it blew my mind a little bit too. Like I obviously, like both of us had some background into what was going to be going on during this programming. I knew that this part was going to be happening, but I wasn't
I
sure
did
like
too.
how
It
I
was a
wasn't sure how it was going to be
big part of it.
perceived, right? And to see, like you said, like the camaraderie and everybody coming together and kind of after seeing just everything from the weekend on like you said, like I think this was everybody that hadn't been involved with the chapter in a while or like had kind of stepped back and to see everything from the weekend and just take in like where we're at and what we're being able to put on and what we're doing, like this was the pinnacle of all that stuff coming together and just like being like, okay, like this is where the next steps for the chapter are, right? And so
Yeah.
like you said, like we had a lot of people that re-upped commitments, like Barton, Chris, Korberg, Ryan Vickerman, Eugene Worley. I'm just trying to name a bunch of people off the top of my head that I remember. Michael Brunner, I think, as well. Like there was a lot of people that had already been stakeholders with a significant investment that they were already giving that ended up, donating some more money onto this project. But then we had a lot of people that are first time stakeholders. Just the first time they're here. Well, maybe not first time they're hearing about the property, but first time seeing everything together, and coming on and being a part of this. I think we counted before we started. I think it was about 21 people that I think committed on that are
Yeah, with a
new.
number of people too talking about who had shown a lot of interest in. So that $350,000, that could be even a larger number in the future. Like this could be an opportunity for us to even, there's always going to be some unaccounted expenses while doing a construction project. So this could make up
Mhm.
for that, or this could immediately go into the phase two part of the plan. So like that's super exciting that there's so much people who are interested in helping get this project to the finish line. Really.
Yeah, yeah, and I think we have to give a shout out to Brett Goff and his family that they made the largest donation on the weekend, but they were the ones that committed. It was $100,000, and I'm pretty sure they've already invested some money into this project as well, and so for them to make that donation, it brought a standing ovation to everybody. Like just it's just mind blowing to me. Like that's already like a quarter or like a sixth, right, of what we needed. Um,
Right? Like
and
that just blew it out of the wire. I
yeah,
remember being dumbfounded by that donation. Like I can't thank everybody enough who donated, and especially the Goff family. Like that was, first of all, like that is going to help a ton of people going forward, and it's going to help the chapter a ton. But also, I think that helped a lot of it. It's going to help gain us a lot of momentum to getting this project done. Like this is reality now. This isn't just an
mhm.
idea of like, oh, it'd be really nice to have a house. This is going to actually happen now.
Yeah, and like you mentioned at the beginning, like the plan now that we hit our commitment goal in terms of money wise, I mean, like the plan right now is we're breaking ground in 5 years. Like by the time we're doing 30-year banquet, we're gonna be breaking ground on this property. So like even that like seems crazy to me because like when we came on as stakeholders originally, it was always like this is gonna be 10, 15 years down the road that we're gonna be able to
Yeah, I remember
raise this
those
level.
conversations.
Yeah, yeah. So like just the fact that now we're almost breaking ground, like, so if we said 2022, right? So like that's three,
Eight
eight
years of
years.
campaigning.
Yeah, 8 years of campaigning. Is just crazy. And obviously like this is the first time that we're going public with a lot of this stuff. So like people can still get in on this if that's something that they're interested in. I mean, um I'm sure Chris and the capital campaign like committee that they have is gonna be very present over the next couple months trying to get more people on now that we're being very public about this project and now that 25 years kind of behind us. So just kind of keep on the lookout for it if this is something that you're interested in and kind of want to see what the future of this next big project that we're working towards is going to be. um I mean we're always willing to take on more people, right?
Absolutely.
So
More the merrier, honest. This is
yeah,
like a this project cannot is not being done by one person alone. This is an entire chapter base. This is the entire chapter of Wisconsin Theta participating in this. This is very much a community effort, and it's going to really show in the completed design or in the completed product.
yeah. So I agree. I think that was one of the bigger moments of the weekends. Like it was phenomenal to see, and just be a part of that, and you know continue to be a part of that going forward. So
Yeah,
yeah.
guess like as an overall total, Austin, like what was your favorite part of the actual banquet celebration itself?
Um. Oh, that's a good question, man. Putting me on the spot.
Sorry,
I should
put
have
you on
thought
the
about. No,
spot
no,
here.
no. It's okay. I should have thought about this ahead of time. But um, I don't know. Like I want to say like just hearing like all the speeches, like all the speakers that we had were phenomenal. Just to start, and so like being able to hear their stories and how much like this fraternity and being a part of the Platteville community and the Wisconsin Theta community like impacted them was really awesome. Something else that was like a big thing, like obviously we had Lee's Astros parents come back to get a special award, um, and to talk about like the donation that they made to endow a scholarship in Lee's name, for it's essentially part of BMS now. Like we're giving one away here at the next BMS banquet. And so that was very emotional to see, just because like uh, I can't remember what year Lee graduated. It was pretty early on,
I
but
think it was
he had
2004.
2004, and so like he had a very significant impact on the chapter and on the Platteville community. And obviously I didn't know him, but to see like the reaction from just all of the people that are around during that time and how much like he touched them personally, and then to have these parents there, and kind of present all this, and that was just phenomenal. So I'd say that was another like very impactful moment for me, was seeing that and just yeah, yeah, those are my two big things, I think. What about you?
Yeah, I think like the biggest thing I liked was like how candid people were about like having a getting a chapter to 25 years is certainly not easy. The hardships that the guys went through with founding the chapter, and I'm sure the story is not unique to just Platteville, but founding a chapter is an easy thing, and getting to hear from the founders about um, the struggles that they went through, the reasons why they wanted to create SIGEP at Platteville, and then the work that went in behind the scenes to recruit guys, um, to make it through those first couple of years of being a chapter, and then getting to hear a lot of the reasons why people keep coming back and why people like keep making SIGEP special and a part of their lives. getting to hear those personal stories that people shared about, like, this is why SIGEP means so much to me. Those really meant a lot to me. And you mentioned a little bit too about Lee Astro. I think the memorial that we had done, there's a sequence that was inside the program, if you guys didn't see it, where pictures came up of brothers that we've unfortunately lost in the 25 years of being a chartered chapter here at Platteville. And I think that was a really special moment. I definitely, unfortunately, I've never had the chance to meet any of those people who we lost in the 25 years of being a chapter, especially David Nevins. David really meant a lot to myself and my class.
Mhm.
When he passed away, that really was hard on us, and um, I would have loved to have met him. But like that whole thing, it's like the live, uh, it's the string quartet that they had,
Yeah.
who played for the memoriam was really special. And I think learning a little bit more about like Bob McCune and Lee Astro was like really special for me, since like being a guy who's like from some of the most recent years of the chapter, I feel like some of that history can get sometimes lost. We're not unfortunately communicating some of that deep chapter history with our younger brothers. And learning about like I said, Bob McCune and Lee Astro is like super special, because these guys are people who made a really impactful um, impact into our chapter. Bob McCune being a great volunteer for our AVC and helping us form the AVC, as well as volunteering with the brothers and the undergraduates in the chapter for those early years. That made such a meaningful impact for us in continuing on. Like, Tom was a busy guy, and Bob, who needed a chapter to mentor and everything, and him being a part of that. I cannot imagine, SIG up today without that, because, you get, if you don't have these dedicated volunteers, it's just not, it sometimes won't succeed, or we won't exist as a chapter.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with all that too. Like I said, like obviously I didn't know these people and their names that have been thrown all around in our circles, but it's just to be able to see like again like that impact that they had on these individual people and hear about all that was very very emotional, but also like just like inspirational. I'd say too. Um,
Absolutely. Like, this is like any banquet cycle. I think I can feel this, but like, this really inspires us to want to work harder as an AVC. Like, me being a trustee on the AVC, I want to do a ton of work to make sure that we're we're capitalizing on this a stroke of inspiration that a lot of people are going to have. Or, now that SEGEP's back in the forefront of people's minds, this is a great time for us to become involved as a chapter, to
yeah,
become involved more as an AVC with the chapter, as well as just being able to stay connected with our brothers. A lot, like you said before, Austin, a lot of brothers hadn't been back to Platteville since they graduated, and this was an opportunity. This is an opportunity for us to make sure that they stay involved with the chapter too.
yeah. I'll say too that like from talking with some of the undergrads, like there was a lot of morale that came off of this as well in terms of like how excited they are just going forward, like the state of the chapter and just like want like obviously elections is coming up, and so like this really inspired a lot of guys like I really do want to make a difference, like I'm gonna start running. Or I ran into an undergrad, and I'm sorry that I can't remember her name, but who was like I want to work for nationals now, like he's only a sophomore and he's like I want to work for nationals when I'm done. And I was like awesome, like that's
That's
the stuff that
awesome.
we want to see, like that's just to show again like the inspiration that came off of everything on the weekend was just phenomenal. And like I said, like or like you said, like I'm hoping we can kind of carry this forward into um you know even going above and beyond what we've already done with both our ABC and the undergrads, but just again like the chapter as a whole, like take it to the next level. We're ready to go there, so
Yeah. And
yeah.
now talking about like the theme too, kind of piggybacking off that, like the limitless
Yeah,
theme. This is like limitless was the theme of the banquet, and talking like it got brought up several times during speeches and everything. But really the possibilities for us to continue on from here are limitless, I think. We're limitless in the possibilities of how we can be better. There are still so many things that we can do as a chapter, undergraduates and ABC side, that can make us a better organization. talking about philanthropy, volunteer hours. The volunteer work that we do already is really amazing, but we could get so much more involved in our community, so much more involved um, with the undergraduates and the alumni itself. So there's still tons of stuff that we can do to make SIGEP better, but also still have fun while we're doing it. I think that like can sometimes get overlooked too. Um, as an alumni, we talk about this all the time. We were boring alumni. We talk about um, how the undergraduates have lost the sight of SIGEP all the time, blah blah blah. But at the heart of it, we all need to make sure we're going to still have fun and talking about like stuff that I do on the AVC with being a member and undergraduate relations. I want to make sure that we're going to still have fun. I want to make sure that the undergraduates are getting support from the alumni when needed for planning events, and I want to make sure that alumni are getting connected with undergraduates so that stories like our founders and those first early years and the mid years, like I want to make sure that stuff doesn't get lost. And really, as an AVC as a whole, we can definitely benefit to improve from what came out of this last weekend.
Yeah. I mean, what you just said is basically like the mission behind like why we're doing these podcasts and why we're doing a lot of the stuff that I'm trying to do with the comms cabinet in terms of like our visual like history project that we talked about in the last episode. Like all of that connects to what you're talking about. Like we have such a rich history, and being able to see it all this weekend, like I think put it in perspective for some people, but we have such a rich history of all these people that have been involved, and we're trying to preserve as much of it as we can before it does get lost. And so yeah, it just was an awesome weekend. Like I'm sorry for people that missed out on it, and obviously like I know Chris is already posting some stuff that was shown there, and there's going to be some other stuff that comes out as well. I'm sure there'll be a lot of photos and whatnot. I know that we're going to actually be featured in the SIGUP Journal, like the next one that's coming out, so that's pretty
No
awesome.
way! I didn't know we
Yeah.
were gonna get featured in the SIGEP Journal.
Yeah, so we're gonna be there's gonna be a whole feature on our celebration and everything that happened. So if you're still getting your SIGUP Journal, please read that.
Are you like
um
contributing to that, Austin? Like, are you helping them write an article, or is somebody like
eh,
from Nationals writing it?
I have no clue. Chris just mentioned it at our exec meeting the other day. Maybe I don't know if I should have talked about that, but whatever.
Oh man,
It's in there.
spoiled it
It's
for
it's
me.
already out. Um, but yeah, I'm sure that like I'm not doing anything with it. Like I'm sure that it's some guys from
Oh, okay.
Nationals and David and Scott are probably giving some input as well, and I'm sure Chris is doing some stuff too. So, yeah, it just shows like how awesome of a weekend it was to that the fact that we're going to be featured. So, um, yeah, yeah, it was an awesome time. I mean, I'm sure we're
Not to
not going to do it.
mention also the cherry on top of the weekend, Austin. This is probably one of the most important things too. I can't believe we haven't talked about it yet, but the absolute destruction of the undergraduates at the softball game that occurred.
Yeah,
I
talk
think the
about it a
ending
little bit.
score, this ending score, I believe, was like 20-6
Oh my
or
goodness.
20-7. Yeah,
Were the undergrads talking some big smack before the game?
um, I don't really think there was a lot of smack talking
Oh,
except
okay.
at the game. The game was like very like in terms of how the game played out. The alumni only scored 2 runs in like the first inning, and then we didn't score until like the fifth or the sixth inning again.
Oh, jeez.
And it looked at for a while like we were gonna get absolutely swept by the undergraduates, and then like the last couple innings came, and then the top of the ninth for the alumni, we ended up scoring like 15 runs and
Jesus.
just blew the competition out of the water.
The alumni are old. It takes a little bit for them to get warmed up. Like they came out a little hot, and then I'm sure, like you said, like they had to slow down a little bit, get the gears going again, and then they just
Yeah,
popped off. So, um, yeah, I think we've won like the last however many in a row.
we
So
won the last 2 years. So this year and last year we won, and then the year prior we lost, but the year prior to that we won. So
okay,
it's
so
uh
one
it's
one little blip.
it's looking like all eight alumni coming up in the next couple of years. A lot of the recent people who graduated are gonna make us an amazing team. Let me tell you, we could probably
Yeah.
go professional with this.
we might have to We might have to start keeping like like a running total of the wins losses for this. Like
It's
I
like
don't. I'm surprised we
the
haven't done that yet.
like a tracker between like how many Bears losses and how many Packers losses there are, like that
Yeah,
tracker, right?
I'm sure we can find somewhere to put that and start keeping track of that.
I'm
That's
sure we
it.
could dig up all the archival records or just ask people like, who won in this year? Who won in this year?
uh,
What was the score? How big was the lead
yeah.
the alumni had?
Maybe there's some kind of award we can like pass back and forth. Like
Oh yeah.
like in college football, right? Like when you have these
Yeah, I know
rivalries, like
exactly.
some, yeah.
Like
We
a
got some ideas flowing here. Maybe
yeah.
we might need to put this out to somebody. I don't know if I'm the one that's going to be leading this, but we'll find somebody else to do it. Um,
This
yeah.
is good. This is gold right here. We could definitely make an award out of this.
If somebody's listening and wants to donate some kind of award that gets passed back and forth, hit us up. We'll connect you with the person that's going to be in charge of this. Um, I mean, it probably would fall under you. You're the events boy,
It'd probably
right?
be me anyways. I had some gripes about how the softball game played out this year with like the planning of it, so I've got to whip those undergraduates into shape. AKA, I got to make sure that we actually like write up how we're gonna set up the softball game.
Uh-huh.
Like they made sure to reserve the field this year, but we got like this field all the way in the corner of of Legion Park
Oh,
when
jeez.
we should have reserved a completely different field. Like there's like 4 fields at Legion Park, and we reserved the one that's the smallest one in like the back corner, farthest away from the parking lot. So, 2027 I think is the next formal banquet.
Yep, yep.
I'm gonna make sure we're getting the right freaking field this time.
uh, so hopefully we'll have. I mean, that's a year and a
That's
half
plenty of time for
basically
me to
away.
get an award made up.
Yeah, I'm sure we can pull this off. You can pull this off. Yeah. I'm looking at our rundown. We kind of ran through everything. We kind of already talked about some takeaways from the actual banquet as well. So I don't know if you have any more takeaways that you want to talk about from it at all.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not gonna really harp on this too much, but like overall, the weekend was really spectacular. It was really great from an alumni standpoint to get to reconnect with the undergraduates again and to reconnect with a lot of older alumni and younger alumni. I really had an amazing time being back in Platteville and feeling that sense of community that SIGEP provides. You know, you lose sight of that stuff being an alumni working your full-time jobs, but this weekend was our weekend and we certainly took the fullest advantage of it. So, and as I said, and I'll continue to say it again, thank you to the people who helped put this on. Dom, we should have mentioned this before, but Dom also helped
He did a
with the
lot of stuff.
programming. So like, there's like such a big list of people who made this event happen, and I can't thank all those people enough for this. The recognition that we've gotten from nationals as well as just like the collaboration as a chapter in general for this event um, is just it's amazing, and it really makes me happy to be in the ABC and in a member of SIGEP. Really, I can't imagine my life without SIGEP, and events like this really remind me of why I took that oath to be a member.
Yeah, I think you summed it up perfectly there. Like and we already talked about this too, but like obviously we're taking a little break here now that this is over because of the amount of effort that we all put into this, but it's already given me a lot of drive like just to keep going forward with what we're doing and stuff on my specific end of alumni things, but just in general, like across the board, like I'm going to be making some connections with some people that express some interest in kind of doing some stuff with the ABC side of things now too, and hopefully we'll kind of see the same thing with the undergrads with these elections coming up. Like I've already heard that, like I said, there's a lot of people running for stuff. So, that, like I said, that's the biggest thing I can take away from the weekend. Like just there's so many people that were able to talk about how SIGEP has impacted them and why they made these decisions, and now to see like that spark and that drive be like rekindled in them. I'm excited just to see where our future goes. Like we're limitless
We're
when we want
truly
to.
limitless.
We truly are limitless, and so it's above and beyond like where we're gonna be next. Like I'm not sure where that's gonna be, but we got a lot of stuff in the pipes. Yeah.
In the pipe works. Wait, before we go, did you hear the story about how we came up with the limitless theme?
No, I didn't. Explain. Give
It
us a
was
backstory.
one weekend that I can't remember why a bunch of us. I think it was house cleanup in 2024.
Uh huh.
Maybe it was 2023. No, it's 2024. Regardless, one of the house cleanups, Jurgis had come back to Platteville, and a couple of us went out to Second Street after house cleanup, and I remember sitting in the back, like if you've been to Red and Deb's before, they have that like little patio section out in the back. And I remember sitting down with Chris and Zach Donnelly and I think maybe Will Browning, and we were just like throwing out ideas. Like, come on, there's gotta be an idea that we can maybe make this work. And Zach Donnelly came up with the idea. He's like, what about limitless? Like, what about like we have limitless potential? And I was like, that's it. That's a perfect idea right there. And that's what we ended up like. And I think a couple weeks later, we ended up talking about it at our like meeting. Of like this idea, this is like perfect. This describes us, I think, entirely perfectly. So that's how we ended up coming up with the limitless idea, just over beers at Red and Deb's.
That's where the best ideas come from, man. Have a couple
Yeah,
of drinks flowing. You're throwing a bunch of stuff out there, and something sticks. Oh, this is a doozy of an episode. We've done a lot of the last. I mean, the last one with Hayden was already long,
yeah,
and
that
this
was
one's
a
gonna be
long
long.
episode.
And
Editing
this
that
one
one
is
was
long
was
too.
fun though.
So I'm running out of stuff to talk about. Do you got anything else, Sean, before we head out of here?
I think I'm all good here, Austin. Again, thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
Can't wait to work on more content going forward. You know what? We have a lot of people who want to be guests on the podcast, so
yeah. That was the
make
other thing
sure
I
to
forgot to
stay
mention.
tuned.
There's a lot of people that after seeing what we did with the roundtable and hearing that we have a podcast that we do is like, oh, like we'd be interested. So, um, you know, we have some people that we're planning on talking to about hopping on. So just keep on lookout. We're still getting these out every couple of weeks here, and I feel like we're doing pretty good with content this year so far since we've come back. So,
I'd say
um,
so.
yeah, and so like we've got some big people coming on, and like I said, we're still working on this roundtable. It's gonna be a little bit harder to do that one just because we have so many people we got to coordinate, but we'll figure it out. We'll find a way to get you that content that was supposed to be shown and that we messed up on. So yeah, I mean, thank you, Sean, for stepping in. You were going to be on the episode anyway, but
Oh yeah,
with Dom getting sick, like it just you slid in to take that challenge on of just doing the two of us. So
it's
uh,
almost fitting, honestly, being the
yeah.
chairman of the banquet planning committee and my involvement in podcast is a shoe in, perfect shoe in.
Yeah, it was perfect. So yeah, like Sean said, just make sure you guys are following everything. Follow all the social medias. We plug those all the time, but follow the channel, follow all the chapter like social media stuff. If you want to keep seeing all this 25-year stuff that's coming out, we'll put some more links in the bio with like the like you said, like the Google Drive and maybe some of the other content side of things. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and as
just
always, remember too, we have the historical photo archives that Hayden talked about in the last episode. If you
yeah.
got pictures, I was just talking about this before. I got a couple SD cards that are full of chapter photos. I need to get these out of here. I'm I'm the biggest offender of not sharing stuff.
hmm
If you
And it's
have
so
stuff to
easy.
share,
It's
it's
so
so
easy.
helpful
We
too.
have this Google Drive set up. You just dump stuff into it. If you have the physical stuff that we talked about, we're more than willing to come out and get it. And like the three of us are kind of spread out a little bit, so like one of us can find our way to it. Um, so yeah, like just yeah. Well, we want all your stuff. Just give it to us. It's not like we're gonna do anything wrong with it. So yeah, this is a good episode, Sean. I'm ready for the next one already. I feel like we could have just recorded two if we wanted to.
Well, awesome. Thanks again, Austin. And as always, it's a great day to be SIG up, isn't it?
Great day to be a SIG up. Everybody have a good night. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.